don't think we can follow the prophecy and see what's inside the shelter at the same time. There is no way to please both the angel and the devil. Deltarune and Undertale by default are games about our choices, about free will, and the meta-narrative relationship between the player and the human we play as. And this thing right here, the ominous shelter, the source of the garbage noise near the forest where the children follow the tale of hell, is precisely one of those things outside our hero's reach. That thing that our human should really forget about. But since us, the players, are the ones in control, we push further. We need to see what's inside the shelter, but are we mentally prepared to what's inside? Are we sure that what we are doing is the right thing? Does Susie know what she's talking about wanting to save Undyne from the shelter? Just like Undertale, we never got to the true lab till we are on the true pacifist route, and I have my suspicions that, unless we choose the weird route, we're not seeing what's inside the shelter. But why do I believe that? The adventure of the Lightners, the one that Ralsei wants us to follow along, prophecy, what our heroes are destined to do, is to close the dark fountains and bring balance to the world. The prophecy ends with something that upsetted Susie and saddened Ralsei deeply. He didn't want the prophecy to end this way, but even Chris, keeping in mind that Chris is working with the Knight, I don't think it's very convinced on the prophecy. Chris, not a player, knows that certain things need to happen in order for the prophecy to be fulfilled. Chris created the dark world of the Dreamer's living room. This created Tenna, so that the prophecy continues as planned, so that the Lord of Screens gets cleaved red by Blade. Why would Chris create the dark fountain on the living room? Chris wanted the Knight to arrive. Moments like this makes it very clear that this cage is keeping information from us, from the player. What's the purpose of a cage? To look cool on a cartwheel? No. They restrain and keep something from running away. This cage is keeping information away from us. We've already discussed in this channel how this is a common theme across Deltarune, and more precisely with the secret bosses, that they seeked freedom very hard. We all know what happened to them. Jevil had a moment of true ego death, Spamton owned El Reina 5 pesos, and Ramp is British. No wonder he wants to help Chris get freedom so much. Auroras are green, they crackled with freedom, you know the deal. I'll leave the video right here if you're interested. And remember, up until chapter 3, we need to do very specific things in order to meet these bosses. These events do not go along with the prophecy, and whoever is pulling the strings is well aware of this. Now let's start with Jevil, and maybe you'll see what I'm talking about. Not only do we need to get to the deepest part of the card castle, but Sean warns us time and time again that Jevil is evil, that he shall not be let out, that even someone as imposing and monstrous as the King of Chaos knew that it was best to keep Jevil locked away. Finding the key fragments requires some backtracking, and some of those pieces were outside the bounds of the Scarlet Forest. The gang is literally following the clues that a devil jester left where the forest would grow. And once we collect the key fragments, reforge them, and face the Jevil, our reward for freeing this jerk was an absolute beat-up, and once we defeat him, he warns the group about the Knight. And once we leave his cell, it looks like someone took out a part of the world. We freed him from this dark world, and all about him was now gone. But wait, Jevil was not part of the prophecy. We weren't meant to defeat Jevil, he was an abnormality. Having Jevil on our side makes this adventure more easier, but we weren't meant to defeat him. Maybe we weren't even meant to find him. But since us, or maybe the player, was so curious to see what was this evil jester all about, we went against the prophecy. Now let's take a look at Cyberworld. We find Spamton for the first time just after, again, following along the prophecy. The Queen's chariot can't be stopped. We meet him in a dumpster. We have a little fight and he asks Chris, alone, to meet him at his store, which is just a junkyard. He then sends us to the Queen basement to help him find a new body, to be a big shot once again, yada yada. Chris has no reason to do any of this. The prophecy of this dark world was already fulfilled. Why are we doing all of this? We weren't really meant to do this. We're doing this because, well, we are the player. We really want to see what the sketchy salesman has in store for us. But when we go out of our way and look for his body, we get a glimpse of our dear device friend lurking in the shadows. And something very interesting to keep in mind is some elements in the game that are Gaster related are named device underscored something. And this thing is called Device Friend. This naming convention looks like something someone is coding, so why is that thing labeled friend? Maybe this is something that Gaster considers is our protagonist's friend. And he does not care if the true intentions of this thing are good or not. But you know, I really want to give him the benefit of the doubt. He's acting like the Cheshire Cat, you know? He's just a peeper, so we better let him be. For now, we made Chris do something unexpected, something the prophecy didn't foretold, to get Spamton out of the dumpster. We are breaking free, following another tale. And what's more, the weird route even ends up with him out of the dumpster. We fight Spamton alone, again, but take a closer look at what he says. He knew we fell into the same trap he fell into. He is well aware that someone else is pulling the strings, but why would he push us to do the weird route? How did he know this? After all, he sold us the thorn. Unfortunately, Noelle got stronger under our commands, and we used her to stop Spamton. But remember, it is not Chris who wants to do the weird route. Chris hates us for that. Initially, Chris was collaborating with the knight, but the weird route? This was not intended. And I'm pretty sure that the knight is not even aware that Chris is attempting to do the weird route. And if you think about it, from this point, the prophecy was stopped. By this point, the Queen's Chariot was, indeed, stopped. Now comes Chapter 3, the first and only dark fountain that we know of was created by Chris. It's pretty safe to assume by this point that all of the other dark fountains we've visited so far were the knight's creation. And as I mentioned, the creation of this dark fountain was needed for the prophecy. The Lord of Screens is cleaved red by blade. But even here, despite all that we forced Chris to do in Chapter 3, the prophecy remains unbroken. We cannot escape fate. Sorry to disappoint you, friend. But even here, things can take a very strange turn. Who is the secret boss of this chapter? Ramp. And we've all heard it before. Ramp was meant to take the Shadow Crystal, but what makes him so different? Why was Ramp particularly sidelined and even teased as a sideline character the most? Because he's not part of the Knight's plan. Chris is working with the Knight and following orders, but deep down, do you think that Chris wants to do this? Maybe the Knight knows something about this, maybe the Knight is this, but all this plan is extremely convoluted, and Chris is obviously being forced to follow along with. And we were not even supposed to break the Knight's sword. That's how we get the Shadow Crystal of this chapter, but this was not meant to happen. We weren't meant to get the Shadow Mantle, we weren't meant to see Ramp. Ramp is obviously the anomaly of Chapter 3. He was the one who altered the prophecy here, or tried to alter the prophecy. But if Ram came from another dark world, what the hell is he doing here? What is his purpose? He's working against Tenna? Why? Why would unlocking the True Sword game would be against Tenna's interests? Because it shows us how to do the weird route, how to break completely away from the prophecy. And Tenna, oh, Tenna is not meant to tell us that. He's only meant to stall time until the night arrives. Chris is in a very difficult spot. On one side, he's forcefully working with the Knight and Carol in an attempt to bring Des back, acting as a cage for a otherworldly entity. And on the other side, he's fighting the voice inside the cage, the player that wants to do harm to the people close to him. All of this in a twisted attempt to break away from the prophecy. He's fighting the Angel's will. The angel that Spamton mentioned when he sold us the ring. But who's Spamton even talking about here? Noelle? Well, she looks like a snow angel here, I admit that, but we know that the coming of an angel is a good sign. Maybe in this universe is different though, because why would it be a good thing to vanish the angels of heaven? To that, I still don't have a clear answer. The clues are all there, but multiple interpretations can be written. But even though Noelle is definitely not the angel, she is the key to something else. She is important not only because of her role or connection to this holiday, she is a key. The key to the shelter. The key to break away from the prophecy. Now, during the third route, once we reach our max level on the first screen, we'll find the ice key hidden on a chest behind the trees, before the game shuts off. This first screen mirrors what happens on the weird route, or, well, what the players back then thought that the weird route would be. Kill everyone, get stronger, and oh, what's this? Now we can use magic for chapter 2. We won't be by ourselves during this detour from the prophecy. Noelle is with us. But, see what I mean? What kind of angel would follow along with so much bloodshed? On the second screen, we can find Tenna on the Hard Island. But more like Tenna, it looks like a memory, a fragment of his consciousness, hidden on a Hard Island to our right side? If this dark world take the form of Chris's emotions and mind, it would make sense that the part that wants us to follow along, the voice telling us to follow the prophecy, is just the one in our hearts. We should stop hearing what Ram has to say and just follow along with the plan. But what do we have on our left side? Oh, a cave with a room, a green-lined room, telling us to follow the northern lights. Again, we've already discussed this on a previous video. Follow the northern light. The northern light, like the aurora, like the ones that Des had on her wallpaper, go beyond the green line. But this is wrong, right? Our heart tells us to follow the prophecy, that's the right thing to do, but what if we follow our left side? After all, don't we want to be free? And so we head north. We already have the key. We push further. We find Noelle. The forbidden path began with ice magic. Forbidden? Forbidden by whom? By the prophecy? The knight? Aside from being morally questionable, why can't we follow this path? Why is Rosie so insistent on Chris not going to the festival with Noelle? Cause this would be breaking the prophecy completely. Chris pushes forward, freezes the bluebird monster and uses Noelle. After crossing the door, framed by the same toy horns that Chris used to wear as a child, something speaks to us from the darkness. Is it friend? Is it Guster? Is it the knight? It doesn't matter. We got what we were looking for. The shelter key. We only had to use Noelle to get it, but we're not done yet. The entity asks for one more thing, so he uses up Chris. From this point, what happens is very cryptic. The game puts Chris on a city. We need to stop both Susie and Rosie to move forward. Chris goes on a rampage throughout a game board that resembles a lot of Hometown, and at last, we open the shelter door, and we meet with the Shadow Mantle. If opening the shelter means that we have to use Noelle, maybe we'll never get to enter the shelter. Unless we try, of course, to follow the weird route and break away from the chains of prophecy. If the knight got out of the shelter, who says Undyne won't be able to get out of there too? Just don't break the prophecy. The Angels' heaven is not there. You'll see your precious Undyne soon enough. Just get back to the girl and close the fountain. Be a good hero. We were not meant to have the Shadow Mantle. We should have been sworn by the knight. And the Mystery Man doesn't care. This experiment has taken a very interesting route. And he's looking forward for what Chris is doing. He's probably thinking something like,
"Oh, so the ancient dog is gonna break away from its mold. Let's see how it fares."
See what I mean? Now that we know what happens in Chapter 4, just as the Shadow Mantle minigame suggested, we used Noelle. But wait a second, why are we doing this? I mean, us, the player. On Undertale there was a premise of an RPG where you don't have to kill anyone. And what did we do? We killed everyone. But here, why are we following Spamton's instructions, freezing Mordecai's cousin and mind-graping Noelle? Something is coacting us, the player, to do all of this, and we do not know it yet. Of course, the Mystery Man is not worried at all. He even cheers for us on the night fight.
"Oh, so you have the Shadow Mantle. Go ahead, try to beat the knight. I want to see how this ends. Keep up this way and you may end up like the other deer. That would be very, very interesting."
Chris accepted to work with the knight, but putting the thorn ring on Noelle, that was too far. He didn't sign up for this. This is not what Carol wanted, but she doesn't have to know about it. Noelle will be part of the plan, but not in the way that Carol wanted. We want to break the prophecy, right? We'll do the weird route, and we will use Noelle. Unless, of course, we choose to be a good cage and follow along with the prophecy. But why is it that Chapter 4's secret route is different? Well, the secret boss for Chapter 4 revolves around Susie, and Susie is not controlled by the player. All of her arc with Gerson is precisely that, she learning to take her own choices. To free herself from the chains of prophecy, she learns that her fate is not written. She can do better. She can be better. She also can be a hero. We've been getting out of bounds time and time again to find the secret bosses, but here, the secret boss finds us actually. We only had to collect a few notes that were not really that out of reach, so that Susie can challenge Gerson, grow up as a person, as a hero. While Chris, we are leading Chris down a dark path. Either we follow the prophecy, fulfilling that thing that scared Susie, that she wants to avoid so much that Ralphie dreads, or we take the weird route, harm Noelle, use her, and open up the shelter to finally see who's pulling the strings, not knowing that maybe this is precisely what that demon from hell is looking for. The same demon that's coacting the player to harm Noelle, to harm those that Chris loves. It is funny that as soon as Susie took away Chris's agency, pushing Chris away and finding Noelle, this triggered the weird route, since the angel doesn't have to follow the prophecy. The Prince of Darkness is nowhere to be seen. So, we can choose to be whoever we want. And we choose to listen to the demon, to obey the voices, and take a weird route. But anyway, that might be it for today. I really hope you liked the video, guys, and if that's the case, remember to leave a like, subscribe, and hit the notification button. That really helps me and the channel, and let me know in the comments down below what do you guys think. Anyways, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time.